30 days of Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. 30 days of Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Hey, I'm Dave Watkins, Watkins Films, and it is October 1st, the first day of Halloween, even though to me I usually start my Halloween stuff September 1st. Some people may wait until October, but I find that every year it happens quicker, so I need more time to enjoy the Halloween season. And also, like always in my head, I'll think 31 days of Halloween. I'm going to watch 31 horror movies, one each day, and that's a very ambitious goal, and it's one that I've never accomplished, and I'm not going to accomplish it this year. I'm going to go ahead and not even going to set that goal because I know that I just don't have time to do it every day. But I am going to put out more of these type of videos based on horror films, and I'm probably not going to do anything but horror films in October. Today we're going to talk about the third film in the Halloween franchise, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Now, this came after Halloween 1 and Halloween 2, and it is the only one that doesn't feature the series antagonist, Michael Myers. These two are both slasher films, and Halloween 3, which, by the way, this is it's not new, it came out a few years ago. It's a Scream Factory 4K version of Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. But this one, instead of going the slasher route, they decided to go more of a science fiction, still horror film. They do have homages to the slasher genre in it. There's these android type of men that show up that kind of walk like Michael Myers, but they end up being, I've kind of spoiled it already, they're androids, but that's not the only secret in the film. This is a very bizarre film, but I've always enjoyed it. It is a little, I think a lot of people, the first time they saw it, they were very disappointed that Michael Myers wasn't in it, and they all had a big shit fit about it. And so after that, the fourth one on, they all feature Michael Myers, with the exception of the newest one, Halloween Ends, which doesn't have him in it as much as some of the others, but he's still featured in it. But that one, up until, I think really the Rob Zombie remade Halloween. Once that happened, this one maybe was viewed in a different light because people were like, okay, now we used to think this was the worst one, but now we got new ones that we could say are the worst. Not that I think that the Rob Zombie ones are terrible, and I'm going to talk about them on a podcast in the near future, I believe. But not that I think that they're terrible, but they definitely weren't what people were expecting. The same thing happened with this film. I think over time this film has developed a cult following. I've certainly liked it. It is kind of, I guess it definitely is off-putting. Now, when they were thinking about this film, I guess with slasher films, I've talked about this before, it becomes kind of hard to write because you've got, it is easy to write, but then it's hard to be creative. And writers oftentimes strive to be creative, and when they want to create something that's going to challenge people or even entertain people in a different type of way. Now with the slasher formula, it's like this is what happens. The killer shows up, he kills this person, and the last person fights the killer, and then they survive or they don't survive or whatnot. But here they wanted to tell a different type of Halloween story. Now I think I really like this idea. They wanted to do a different movie every year that was based on like a Halloween thing, and so that, I don't know if it was going to be every year, but they were going to start putting out Halloween themed movies. Now, I like it that they did bring Michael Myers back, but I think I did like the anthology idea of the Halloween. Unfortunately, people were very upset about this film, and they canceled all those plans. So in the film, what happens is there's this mask company that has taken over this small town. They brought this plant in, and they brought their own people in to work in the plant for the most part. They've kind of shut the locals out of it, and so they've taken over this small town, and the people who aren't involved with it are scared of the stuff going on at the plant. And what they're doing, they're making these Halloween masks. There's 3 different Halloween masks, and it shows these commercials throughout the film. It's kind of a big, if you imagine this is 1982, so it's kind of like today if you things pop up on your phone, but the only way people were seeing things then were on television. But it was like everybody watched TV. I was growing up during that time, and that was kind of what it was. Like TV popped up, you would see it. But now it's going to pop up on your phone and be in your face. But then it was on the TV. And so this mask company has done that, and there's something very odd going on with this whole situation. So they got these 3 very popular masks. All the kids want these masks. So the main action of the film, it involves a store owner who has found a mask. He's found out some information about the mask that he has discovered, and he's tried to run and tell people about it, but he's pursued by these android men who are very strong, and he eventually gets away, but he gets injured. He ends up in the hospital, and that's where we meet Tom Atkins' character. He's a doctor in the hospital, and we meet him before that. It goes to a scene when he shows up at his ex-wife's house, and his kids have the mask, the silver shamrock mask. They have the mask. He tries to give them some other masks. They're like, no, we don't need those masks. So, but he's got an ex-wife there. He's estranged from her. She doesn't like it that he's always working and doing doctor stuff. And while he's there, he gets paged about this shop owner. So he goes there to check it out, and then he ends up crashing there overnight. Or take a nap there at the doctor's office, and that's when the androids come in and they kill the guy. And then he's very curious about what happens. He follows the android outside. The android goes into his car. He dumps gasoline on himself and blows himself up. So Tom Atkins' character is like, what's going on with this? He's talking to the cops and stuff the next day, and then the guy who died's daughter shows up asking questions, and she really wants to get to the bottom of this mystery and figure out what's going on with it. And the fact that, and then she finds out that he knew, Tom Atkins' character knows something about it. Now, she is much younger than him. I would assume at least 20 years younger, but she turns out to be his love interest, and she eventually gets with Tom Atkins' character because she knows that he knows something, because he was there the night that he died. And so she goes to question him, and then she tells him that she'd been doing some investigation work, and he's already kind of curious about the whole situation. He kind of wants to know what's going on, but the fact that there's this younger girl she looks pretty good, and she seems like she wants him to help her. He goes with her on this journey to do the investigation to figure out what's going on behind her father's murder and these mysterious masks. So they go into the town Santa Maria, I think is what it's called, that has been taken over by the Silver Shamrock Company, which is Silver Shamrock being these crazy Irish guys from the old Ireland who were really into Halloween apparently. So they go to do investigations there, and it eventually leads them to this mask company and these mask. Now, I'm going to go ahead. I got to spoil some stuff here just so we can get into what happens. But these masks are doing these experiments on them. By the way, Stonehenge has disappeared. There's a part on the TV earlier on where it's like Stonehenge is gone. But they've got these masks, and so they put the mask on, and when these kids are like, on Halloween, you got to be in front of your TV and you got to be watching this show, and then when it was like, ding, 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 and then it gets all flashy light, but they're doing like an experiment just to show how it's going to work. And this one kid has it on his head, and then his whole head starts to melt, and these bugs and these snakes come out of his face, and so that's kind of their whole thing, that they want these kids to put on these masks, and then these bugs and snakes come out, and then these bugs and the snakes and the crickets and all that, they go, and I assume the crickets do damage, but the snakes are definitely killing the adults who are in the room. So that's kind of their plan, is to kill all these people. And then so you may think why, and there is an explanation for it, and I guess I'm going to go ahead and tell you, just like the guy now. There's an older guy who runs the plan, is played by Dan O'Herlihy, who, if you watch Twin Peaks, he played Andrew Packard in Twin Peaks. He's also played the old man in RoboCop 1 and 2. But he is another old man who's an evil son of a bitch here, and he's part of a Wiccan type of, or not, I don't know if it's Wiccan, it's probably a pagan, not Wiccan. Wiccan's like a kind of more of a peaceful witch, but he's a part of this witch, like, pagan tribe who've been celebrating Halloween. So it goes back to old Halloween where the whole thing was to sacrifice all these kids and everything so they could be productive, so things would go well. So that's what he's wanting to do. He's wanting to kill all these kids and get the sacrifice on. So let's take a look real quick at this Scream Factory. Like, now this is a slip box. I have heard that you can't get the slip box anymore. It's more of a slip a slip cover, which like a slip cover kind of. This isn't Halloween, but it's like if it's a slip cover like this instead of a slip box is what they went to after this. And sometimes you might not even be able to get this at all. But some people don't give a shit about this. I particularly like these slip boxes, and so this has got it's got the 4K and it's got a 4K disc and a Blu-ray disc, and the transfer here is well done. I think everything looks a lot better than I've seen it before. So I'm gonna read these specs real quick. It's a new 2021 4K scan of the original camera negative, and so it's a 4K scan of the negative. I think everything looks good. There's some grain, of course, because it is shot on film. You're going to have that. It's not a huge restoration here, but everything looks fairly solid. And even the grain itself, which you kind of want that to be there because you want it to look like film. It's going to be there unless they do some digital enhancements, and it's just, it's better to have it. Now, I've always had a soft spot for this film. I think a lot of people don't like it because of Michael Myers not being in it, but I've always enjoyed it. And there's this hilarious meme that has if you don't like Halloween 3, you're just jealous of Tom Atkins and his mustache. Of course, it's got a picture of Tom Atkins on there with his mustache from the film. That's a pretty hilarious meme to me. I'm going to talk a little bit just about the ending of this. Now, it does have a cliffhanger ending and big time spoiler coming up. So he gets to this gas station. He gets on the telephone in the gas station and he calls the radio stations. He's like, look, he's explaining to him what's going on with the mask, that they're killing people. And he's like, you got to stop them. You got to stop these transmissions. And then he's watching the TV. These kids come in and they turn the TV on. And one of them says, please stand by. It goes to black. And then they turn to another channel and it's on. And then it goes to black, and it's like, please stay tuned. And it goes to the third channel, and it's still on. It's still playing, and he's like, you got to turn it off. The third channel, you turn it off now. Stop it, stop it, stop it. And then it just ends like that with this cliffhanger. And maybe some people were really rattled by that, but I always thought that was brilliant. At first, it was like, what happened? What happens after that? But I think it's like sometimes when you leave something like with things unknown like that, I think it has a lasting impression. It makes the film, I guess you think about it for a longer period of time after the film's over. Now, I'm going to go ahead and rate this thing. I'm going to rate Scream Factory's packaging. I'm going to give them a 4 with their 4K transfer and their slip box. I'm going to give the movie a 4 as well. I really enjoy it. I think it's one of the better of the Halloween films. It's it's probably my top 4 of the Halloween films. So anyway, here we go. October 1st, I'm Dave Watkins, Watkins Films. And if you haven't done so already, if you'd like this video and subscribe, thanks for watching.